TechLead has committed political treason by saying probably the dumbest thing you could possibly say in this Ukraine versus Russia conflict.
I stand with Russia.
What the man? Alright, so I'm gonna give it about... Now, the CIA, FBI is probably swarming right down to his house, gonna lock him up and take him off to political prison.
Am I allowed to say that out here, or is somebody going to cancel me if I express some political view that is contrary to the public narrative?
So I'm only partially joking. I'm a long-time subscriber of TechLead. I think some of his content can be very cynical, but at the same time, there's always like an ounce of truth to them. However, in this particular video, he's just flat out wrong and very manipulative in how he goes about with the entirety of this video. However, I do agree with several of his points.
Most people out here have absolutely no clue what Russia and Ukraine are even fighting about. Like, Ukraine was trying to join NATO, and the idea is that if you attack a single NATO country, then you attack all of them. And Russia kept saying, just be a neutral country, stop trying to join NATO. And Ukraine kept trying to join them. And so Putin's fear is, let's imagine Ukraine is a NATO member and starts these military operations. In Putin's eyes, the West promised back in 1990 that NATO would not expand an inch to the east, but they did so anyways. It is intolerable to Putin because the Ukrainian government seeks to legitimate itself by creating conflict with Russia, both oppressing its native Russian speakers and menacing Russia's borders. Russia's the bad guy, right? That's the popular narrative around here.
If he had just left it right there, the video would have been perfect. Clearly, Russia has a justification for wanting to correct what it feels is a broken promise and an encroachment on its backyard. And so it makes sense that, hey, if Ukraine isn't supposed to join NATO, and now it's trying to join NATO, it's in Russia's best interest to enforce that previous promise of no expansion of NATO in its backyard. And that ultimately means, unfortunately, there's going to be some violence, war that we're currently seeing. It's not like just a multi-nation Supreme Court of sorts where you can go and have a civilized conversation and correct the dispute. And even if that does exist, that doesn't stop Ukraine from, in some kind of backdoor maneuver, enters NATO while the dispute is going on in court, and then says to Russia, well, too bad, we're already in it. So then TechLead goes from a reasonable defense of Russia to a somewhat sketchy line of reasoning.
I said Ukraine may deserve to fail because they banned men ages 18 to 60 from leaving the country. People want to leave. The blood is now on the hands of the Ukrainian government. Their own government is trapping them. They're escaping from their own government. And so when I started looking into this, what percentage of Ukrainians actually want to join Russia? Well, most don't really seem to care, right? Some are pro-Russia, some are pro-Western. Most people just want a better life. And so if a company in Russia were to offer them maybe double the income, double the salary, well, then they would migrate over to Russia. And if their life is better in Ukraine, maybe they'll stay there. And then there's some hardcore nationalists on either side who are going to just stay in the country and fight to their death. And undoubtedly, there's going to be a narrative, a bias against Russia because, hey, historically, we fought against Russia in the World War II. That was the West versus Russia, the Cold War. But did you know that Ukraine also supported Hitler? Like, there's this thread of neo-Nazism within
TechLead, their home is being attacked and your recommendation is for them to flee? It's not like this is some third world country where the citizenry don't have weapons to be able to defend themselves. In this case, there's a strong military in the Ukraine and they're able to provide their citizenship with weaponry to help defend their homeland. And what I'm hearing from you is that because of self-interest or a loyalty to Russia, the Ukrainian people should instead vacate their land and just let Russia trample all over them. And then there's also the nonsensical argument of, well, you know, Ukraine used to support Nazis and, you know, during World War II. So therefore, right now, compared to Russia, they're actually pretty good. You know, it's almost like saying, well, Germany used to be Nazi Germany, and so therefore we shouldn't help them or support them. Like, it just doesn't hold water.
Putin's claim is that he's trying to denazify Ukraine. It may be political propaganda as well here, but what are people really trying to fight for here? The people of Ukraine to have a peaceful life. I don't support the idea of forcing them to fight, to die for their own countries when they don't even want to fight themselves. They just want to leave.
All right, so notice in the beginning he said,
I stand with Russia.
And now he's completely done a 180. So does he stand with Russia? Or does he stand with the Ukrainian people? That right there underscores the entire premise of the video. Clickbait. he lied in the title and the video in order to complain about public manipulation, all the while manipulating the audience to be able to click the video, as a result, increase more views and his AdSense revenue. He's coming back to say he supports the Ukrainian people, but then again at the same time had said he supports Russia. Pick a side. So the main takeaway of the video is JK, I support the Ukrainian people. Well, welcome to the bandwagon. My name is SolidusCode. Thank you for watching.